Welcome to a demo of InterScan Web Security as a Service, a cloud-based secure web gateway, which provides anti-malware, URL filtering, real-time web reputation, and application control, giving you all the tools you need to protect against today's web threats and ensure appropriate web usage. Today we're going to show you how transparent the solution is to the user and how simple management is for the administrator. Our user today is Wendy, who stopped in at her favorite cafe on the way into the office to grab a bite to eat. She's updating her to-do list on her mobile device when she notices that she's got a tweet. She goes into Twitter to check her tweets and sees that her friend has sent her a link, so she clicks on the link. But immediately, InterScan Web Security as a Service blocks her access to the site because it is a site that is known to host malicious code. Even though Wendy isn't on the corporate network, all of her web traffic is secured because it is redirected to InterScan Web Security as a Service via a VPN connection with her mobile device. So now we're going to switch views to the administrator view. Today our administrator Joe is trying to prepare for a quarterly business review. So he goes into the InterScan Web Security as a Service management console, which is based in the cloud and can be accessed from any web browser. And first thing he encounters is a dashboard that gives him a quick view of traffic levels, URL categories, malware. He can configure this to show him whatever the most pertinent stats are to him. To prepare his report for the QBR, he goes into the Analysis and Reports section and clicks on Reports. So he clicks Add and sets up the report exactly as he needs it. He's going to select the date range for the last quarter, and he's also going to report on some very specific things. He's interested in reporting on top 10 malware that have been experienced, malicious URLs that have been visited, and the top domains visited. He also wants to get some trending reports on malware activity. And then finally, he wants to look into violation by users of the internet use policy. He could report on a number of other activities such as social networking, streaming media, but this is what he's chosen to report on. He runs the report and gets all the data he was looking for, and he will use that at his QBR next week. Before he's done, Joe needs to implement a new security policy. So he goes into the Access Policies section of the Management Console and clicks on URL Filtering Policies. Here he can also do application control and do some custom approved and blocked URLs. He needs to create a new policy blocking access to peer-to-peer networks because the legal department has determined that the company has some legal exposure from employees downloading things like movies and songs that have copyright infringement. He then decides who the policy will apply to. He can select individual users or groups of users, but in this case it's going to apply to all users, so he clicks All Users. He then selects the URL categories that will be blocked. He can block and monitor things that will consume too much network bandwidth, adult content. In this case, he's going to block peer-to-peer networks. He can schedule this to happen only at certain times. Maybe he only wants to block things during business hours, but in this case, the peer-to-peer policy will be always on. And he chooses block and then saves the policy. And it's now set to block access to peer-to-peer networks for all employees in the organization. So now let's get back to our user Julie, who spent the rest of the day working in the office. It's the end of the day and she's just finishing up email before she heads to the airport for a long flight. She thinks it would be a good idea to download a movie to watch on the flight. So she goes to Google and searches for one of the latest movies that's out this summer. She finds a peer-to-peer networking site where she can download it for free and clicks on it. But her access is blocked by InterScan Web Security as a Service, based on the policy that was set earlier in the day to block access for all employees to peer-to-peer networks. That concludes our demo for today. I hope you've gotten a strong view of how transparent InterScan Web Security as a Service is to users and also how simple it is to manage for the IT administrator.